You're gonna see sides of her in this series that you've never seen before.
Are you ready to find out everything we know about Wednesday Addams? Like, did you know Tim Burton handpicked the entire cast? Or that Jenna Ortega performed her own stunts and got to work with the OG Wednesday, Christina Ricci?
I know the suspense is killing you.
Number 1. How many times did you see Wednesday blink? There are little Wednesday mannerisms sprinkled throughout Jenna's performance that only super keen eyes would be able to see.
It's funny, I think my posture has improved immensely since working on that job.
Her posture was always perfect, and her arms and hands stay pretty stationary most of the time.
At some point during the first couple weeks of shooting, I did a take where I did not blink at all.
Tim Burton loved that take, so he and Jenna decided that it would be one of Wednesday's weird mannerisms. She didn't even know she was doing it half the time. It just sort of happened every time she would reset for a take.
I would drop all the muscles in my face, and Tim really liked the Kubrick stare where I stared through my eyebrows.
Number 2. Jenna was in a non-stop cycle of work for 8 months straight. We're talking a minimum of 12-hour workdays.
I would wake up around 4:30. I would be picked up around 5:20-ish.
By 6 a.m., she's in wardrobe, by 6:30, she's in hair and makeup, and by 8 a.m., she's on set.
We would do 12-hour days. We would have rolling lunches, so we just eat when we could.
Then in the evening, by around 6 o'clock, she's in stunt rehearsal because on top of all this, she's doing her own stunts and fight sequences. More on this later.
And then I might have a cello lesson, and then I go home. That was my day. That was my life for 8 months in Romania.
Number 3. The shoot days were extra long for a reason. Tim Burton and Jenna Ortega wanted to do as many different takes as possible to really nail down Wednesday's characterization for every single scene. And every single one of these takes were on camera. We're hoping to see an extended edition with all the bloopers. Looking at you, Tim. Number 4. Her hair was one of the most important factors. Everyone knows Wednesday Addams as the girl with the signature long, dark braids. But it was important to Tim Burton to establish some sort of difference between who she was then and who she is now. They did a lot of experimentation with different wigs and clips, but in the end, Jenna Ortega, being as dedicated as she is, offered up something invaluable.
I said, hey, maybe just cut my actual hair.
She was, and they did.
And then he loved it, and that was something that we married and we stuck to.
Number 5. There's major sword fighting and fencing going on in this show. One of the things that makes Jenna Ortega so incredible is the dedication she gives to her work. She spent so many hours training to perfect her fencing and sword fighting skills, so she could perform her own stunts.
There was really important physical aspects like that, like the fencing, that I knew that I wanted to do myself and have ownership of.
Number 6. 20 minutes of winging it. The audition process was over Zoom, as Jenna was in New Zealand filming X. She hadn't slept in 24 hours and described her audition process as being tired enough to wing it. The audition only took 20 minutes. Soon after, she had to pack up and move to Romania for 8 months. When you're approached with a character like this, and a director like this, and a story like this, it's very compelling. You don't know when you're going to get the opportunity to do something like that again. I knew that I just had to take it. Number 7. Every single detail was intentional. When creating Wednesday's look, no detail was too small. The show's creators had a lot to say about her look. Everything about her look was intentional. Wednesday's shoes, for example, are next level. Every teenage girl in the world is going to have serious shoe envy once they see them. When you first see Wednesday, she's in her iconic white-collared black dress outfit. But then as the show goes on, her style evolves. They always wanted her to stand out from the crowd in some way. Number 8. One of the most important factors of the show's look. Romania is not a location that you'll often see in the media, so capturing that grandiose Eastern European vibe was a huge inspiration for both the cast and crew.
I did send a photograph of myself in my office to my agent and said, is this what your office looks like?
Number 9. There are a lot of subtleties to Jenna Ortega's performance.
Wednesday's somebody that I always was compared to my entire life.
Though the showrunners found her to be a perfect fit for the character, she was nervous to portray her because she wanted so badly to do the character justice.
I went to fencing lessons twice a week.
No. Good.
I went to cello lessons twice a week.
Everywhere she went, she would walk like Wednesday. She thought people would think she was insane with how much she was putting into nailing down the character.
I wanted her to be specific and certain and assertive.
Number 10. Tim Burton had a very specific vision for Wednesday. According to Jenna, he was one of the most detail-oriented directors she'd ever worked with.
The thing that makes Tim a great visual director is that he has an amazing sense of color and style.
He liked to have a say in how every shot was framed and even the type of lens used on the camera.
Because he kind of liked when they were wide and a bit disoriented.
He designed and brought to life every single character with sketches.
Goth comes to him very naturally. And Tim designed what the monster looks like in the show.
Number 11. What kind of show would this be without the appearance of the original Wednesday Addams? Christina Ricci joins the cast as Marilyn Thornhill, a teacher at Nevermore Academy.
It is scary, it's a lot of pressure, and you want to do justice to someone like her.
You would think that Jenna and Christina would be having some pretty intense conversations about the character they've both portrayed, right?
The strange thing is we never talked about her being Wednesday once.
There was only one time, on the last day of shooting, that Jenna made a reference to Christina's version of Wednesday. They both had an understanding and an acceptance that their versions were going to be different. Number 12. Did you know Jenna always wanted to star in a silent film?
It is a hard thing to play with an expressionless character.
The origin of most of Wednesday's mannerisms and movements came from the idea of it being shot like a silent film.
I felt like that really encouraged mannerisms or kind of balanced the aspects of surrealism and realism in the film.
Tim Burton really connected with the idea as well, given the fact that the way Jenna conveyed emotion most of the time was silently through her expressions.
Because they can be very theatrical and dramatic and intense, and that is what the Addams family is.
Number 13. Wednesday was originally a Latina character in the Addams Family comics. One of the most important parts of this role for Jenna Ortega was getting to represent Wednesday as a Latina, because it has never been done before.
Anytime that I have an opportunity to represent my community, I want that to be seen.
Another way Tim Burton wanted to make this known was by exemplifying the fact that the Addams Family participates in Dia de los Muertos.
Ours is in the living room. More seating for a year-long Dia de los Muertos.
Number 14. The entire town was built from the ground up. Coupled with the extraordinary setting of Romania, the set of the show is like a character in itself. Gwendolyn Christie talks about her experience at New York Comic Con. What I loved was that we filmed in Romania, so you have landscapes that had not been seen before. It's almost like looking at things with quite a fresh pair of eyes on an epic scale, and much of what you see is real. This team really went all out. They built a town and used locations, and there's an awful lot of authenticity to bring that very specific culture to life. Number 15. Can you imagine getting an email from Tim Burton? Jenna was busy filming the horror movie X, as conversations about Wednesday started to come up at Netflix. Tim Burton was the one who thought about her for the role, as he was a fan of her work, so he sent her an email asking if they could meet.
I kind of felt like I was being pranked or something.
Naturally, everyone fell in love with her performance right away.
Because I'm very dry, and I don't think people can tell when I'm being serious or when I'm being sarcastic.
With Tim Burton behind the show, along with his incredible hand-picked cast and crew, Wednesday is an iconic piece of media in the making. What's your favorite behind-the-scenes moment?